Do you remember where you were when the world lost Elvis Presley? August 16, 1977. A 42-year-old legend, the king of rock and roll, found dead on a bathroom floor in Memphis. The official story said it was cardiac arrhythmia, a simple heart attack. Case closed. But the autopsy report was immediately sealed by the family for 50 years, and deep down, millions of fans never believed the whole truth had been told. For nearly 5 decades, one woman carried the heaviest burden of that mystery. She was 21 years old on that August afternoon when she walked into a bathroom at Graceland and found the man she loved, face down on the cold tile floor. His skin had already gone cold. His face was blotchy and swollen. One eye, when she lifted the lid, was completely blood red. She is Ginger Alden, Elvis Presley's fiancée. The last person to see him alive, and the first person to find him dead. The world blamed her for decades. His family banned her from Graceland. Fans sent her death threats by the hundreds, but she kept quiet, protecting his memory even as it destroyed her own life. Now approaching 70 years old, Ginger has finally confirmed what really killed the king. The truth is far darker than any rumor. Tonight, she reveals it all. The secret addiction, the doctor who enabled it, the manager who trapped him, and the system that watched Elvis Presley die in slow motion. Hit subscribe and stay with this one. Chapter 1. The Beauty Queen and the King. To understand what Ginger Alden walked into that August afternoon, you first need to understand how she got there. Ginger was born on November 13, 1956, in Millington, Tennessee, just outside Memphis. She grew up in a modest military family and gravitated early toward beauty pageants and modeling. She had actually met Elvis once before, briefly, when she was just 5 years old. But the real meeting came in November of 1976, when Ginger was 20. Her older sister Terry had been invited to Graceland, and Terry brought Ginger along so she would not have to go alone. That decision changed everything. When Elvis walked into his daughter Lisa Marie's room that evening, Ginger could not take her eyes off him. She later admitted she blurted out a casual greeting, as if she had known him for years. Elvis noticed. He teased her about staring and told her the attraction was mutual. Within days, they were inseparable. But their fairy tale had a very dark backdrop, because the Elvis that Ginger fell in love with was already a man in serious trouble. Chapter 2. The Whirlwind and the Warning Signs. Elvis pursued Ginger with the same intensity he brought to everything in his life. After just 2 months of dating, he proposed with a diamond engagement ring featuring an 11.5-carat center stone taken from his own famous TCB ring. He wanted a Christmas Day wedding and told Ginger it would be the wedding of the century. However, behind the grand romantic gestures, Ginger began to see a very different Elvis than the one the world worshipped. He was deeply controlling. On their second day together, he made her call the young man she had been seeing and end the relationship right there on the phone while he listened. He insisted she stay by his side at Graceland almost constantly. He kept irregular hours, sleeping through the day and staying awake all night. He was eating compulsively and had gained significant weight. His moods could shift without warning from tender and spiritual to aggressive and paranoid. And then there were the pills. Ginger quickly realized that Elvis was taking prescription medications in quantities that would alarm anyone. His personal physician, Dr. George Nicopolis, known to everyone as Dr. Nick, was essentially on call around the clock. In the first 8 months of 1977 alone, Dr. Nick prescribed Elvis over 10,000 doses of drugs, including opiates, amphetamines, barbiturates, tranquilizers, and sleeping pills. That was roughly 40 doses a day. But Ginger could not simply pull Elvis away from this spiral, because someone far more calculating was keeping him locked in place. Chapter 3. The Trap That Killed the King. Colonel Tom Parker had managed Elvis since the mid-1950s. To the public, he was Elvis's brilliant promoter. Behind the scenes, he was something closer to a warden. Parker took up to 50% of Elvis's earnings. He had locked Elvis into punishing touring contracts, particularly a long-running residency at the Las Vegas Hilton, that left the singer physically and emotionally drained. When Elvis tried to fire Parker, the Colonel reminded him of the millions he supposedly still owed. Elvis felt trapped. He could not stop touring because Parker controlled the finances. He could not get off the pills because the pills were the only thing keeping him functional enough to perform. And Dr. Nick kept writing the prescriptions because, as he later admitted, he believed he was doing the best he could to keep things together. Therefore, by mid-1977, Elvis was caught in a cycle that was slowly killing him. He needed the drugs to perform, the performances to pay Parker, and Parker to manage the empire he could not escape. His body was breaking down. He suffered from liver disease, an enlarged heart, and severe chronic constipation caused by years of opiate abuse. Ginger saw all of it. She watched him fall asleep mid-sentence at dinner. She watched him stumble through rooms, unsteady from the mix of downers flowing through his system. She tried to talk to him about it, but Elvis could turn passive-aggressive when confronted. Once, when she mentioned calories, he hurled a dish of ice cream across the room. The king of rock and roll was rotting from the inside out, and the people closest to him were either enabling it or too afraid to stop it. Chapter 4. The Last Night at Graceland, Minute by Minute. The evening of August 15, 1977, started like any other night in Elvis's upside-down world. He had a dental appointment around 10:30 that evening. His tooth had broken. Ginger went with him. They returned to Graceland around midnight. Back at the mansion, Elvis and Ginger went upstairs to Lisa Marie's room, where they watched television for a while. Then Elvis turned off the set and said something that still haunts Ginger to this day. He told her he had been thinking a lot about getting married lately. He described the wedding in vivid detail, the glass slippers he wanted her to wear, the tiara in her hair, the announcement he planned to make on stage in Memphis. He was animated, even excited. But around 2:30 in the morning, Elvis called Dr. Nick complaining of tooth pain. Ricky Stanley, his stepbrother, picked up 6 dilaudid tablets from the all-night pharmacy at Baptist Memorial Hospital. Elvis took them. By 4 in the morning, still unable to sleep, Elvis called his cousin Billy Smith and Billy's wife Jo over for a game of racquetball. They played on Elvis's private court behind Graceland. Elvis barely moved during the game, but afterward, he sat down at the piano and played 2 gospel songs. His voice, even in that state, still carried the soul that had made him immortal. Around 6 in the morning, Elvis and Ginger finally went upstairs to bed. Elvis requested a packet of medication from his staff. It was brought to the bedroom by Ricky Stanley. Still restless an hour later, Elvis called for a second packet. Then, unable to fall asleep, he told Ginger he was going to the bathroom to read. Ginger looked at him and said the last words she would ever speak to him while he was alive. She told him not to fall asleep in there. Elvis replied that he would not. He walked into the master bathroom and closed the door behind him. Hours passed. Ginger slept. She woke up around 1:30 in the afternoon, noticed Elvis was not in bed, and drifted back to sleep for a few more minutes. When she fully woke, she called her mother, got dressed, and then walked toward the bathroom door. She knocked softly and called his name. Silence. She opened the door. Elvis was lying face down on the floor. His pajama bottoms were around his ankles. His arms were flat at his sides, palms facing up. He had not moved from the position in which he fell. Ginger knelt beside him, turned his face toward her, and felt a faint breath escape from his nose. His tongue was clenched between his teeth. His face was swollen and discolored. She lifted one eyelid. The eye beneath was solid red. She pressed the intercom button that rang in the kitchen and screamed for help. Within minutes, the entourage was rushing upstairs, but it was too late. The ambulance carried Elvis to Baptist Memorial Hospital, where doctors attempted to revive him for nearly 30 minutes before giving up. At 3:30 that afternoon, the king of rock and roll was officially pronounced dead. Chapter 5. The Woman the World Erased. The morning after Elvis died, Ginger Alden's life ended alongside his. She was 21 years old. The tabloids immediately turned her into the villain, calling her cold, selfish, a gold digger who slept through her fiancé's death. Elvis's inner circle blamed her publicly. His uncle Vester told the press that the family considered Ginger dead to them and banned her from entering Graceland. Fan mail turned into death threats. Her acting career, which had barely started, collapsed overnight. Producers refused to return her calls. When she appeared in a 1980 film loosely based on a rock star's drug abuse, Elvis's family saw it as a betrayal and severed all remaining ties. For over 3 decades, Ginger stayed silent. She refused interview after interview. She did not sell her story. She did not chase tabloid money. She carried the weight of that bathroom floor with her every single day and said almost nothing. Then, in 2014, Ginger finally published her memoir. The book became a New York Times bestseller. She did not point fingers in some grand accusation. She simply told the truth. She described the pills she watched Elvis take. She described the packets of medication delivered to the bedroom before dawn. She described what it felt like to find the man you loved face down on a bathroom floor with blood-red eyes and cold skin. Her account is now regarded by historians as the most credible and detailed narrative of Elvis Presley's final 9 months alive. She was the closest person to him during that period. She had no reason to lie and everything to lose by speaking. Ginger confirmed what the sealed autopsy, the 10,000 prescriptions, the complicit doctor, and the exploitative manager all pointed toward. Elvis Presley did not die from a simple heart attack. He died because the people and systems around him treated him as a product instead of a person. The drugs kept the product functional. The tours kept the money flowing. And nobody with the power to stop it ever did. The official cause of death still reads cardiac arrhythmia. But Ginger's account makes clear that the arrhythmia was the final symptom of something much darker. A doctor who prescribed 19,000 doses over 31 months. A manager who took half of everything and demanded Elvis keep performing as his body shut down. An inner circle that watched it happen because challenging the king meant losing access to the kingdom. Ginger Alden lost the man she loved, her reputation, her career, and nearly 50 years of her life to a secret she did not create. She was not the villain. She was the witness. And after all this time, her testimony is the closest thing we have to the full truth about what really happened inside Graceland on August 16, 1977. So what do you believe? Was Elvis's death a tragic accident, or was it the inevitable result of a system designed to keep the king performing until it killed him? Tell me in the comments. If you want more untold stories behind the legends the world thought it knew, subscribe to the channel and turn on notifications. The next one is already coming.